Welcome back to City Week, ladies and gentlemen. Now I have the pleasure of being joined by the director of the United Way of West Georgia, Patty Youngblood. Patty, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alton. It's a pleasure to be here.
It is a pleasure to be here to try to help be the one.
Thank you.
Now, Patty, I know that you've been the executive director there for quite some time. Talk a little bit about your role, if you don't mind.
Actually, I'm coming up on 15 years.
That's what I didn't want to say.
15th anniversary. I can't believe it. The time has gone so fast. And part of that is because my job keeps me busy all the time.
That's right.
It's really a wonderful job. I love what I do. And it's no 2 days are the same. And the surest way that I'm not going to accomplish what I need to is to make a plan to get it done.
Right.
Because something's going to come up.
Of course.
And here I am today.
That's right. And as I called you at the last minute to ask you if you could do this, right?
But that's great because I love to talk about what we do. And this time of year, we are in the middle of our annual campaign, which is the biggest part of what allows United Way to do the good work that we do.
Absolutely.
Every United Way in the country, and there are about over 1,200 of us, are autonomous. And so each United Way represents their specific community, the needs of their community, and they fund the organizations that their community thinks are important. And so currently we're funding about 23 agencies throughout the community. They're all local. Some are national affiliates like Red Cross and Boys and Girls Club, Salvation Army. Those Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, those are all national organizations, but they have a local presence.
Right.
And so our funding is designated for their local operations, for funding what they do in Troup and Meriwether counties specifically. And we, the other biggest thing we do is determining that funding through our allocations process.
Yes.
And I know you've helped us on
That's
that.
right.
It's a huge undertaking. But it truly is, other than raising the money to fund the programs, it's the most important thing we do. We recruit volunteers from throughout the community, and if anybody watching would like to be an allocations volunteer, you can call the United Way office and we'll put you on the list. But we recruit volunteers in January. Every United Way agency who receives money doesn't get it automatically. They have to apply every year. So during the month of January, they're preparing their allocation application, and we're recruiting volunteers. The first Thursday in February, we typically have a meeting at the Active Life Center over on Ragland Street, and we'll bring the agency directors and the volunteers together, and we'll put them on panels. And the easiest way for us to do it is to color code it.
And it works too.
It really works great.
That's right.
We'll have name tags when you come in, give us your name. It'll have a color, and you go in and you look for the balloons with that color on it, and that's your table, and the agencies are already aware that that's their color too, so that let's say it's the green panel. We'll have the agency directors from the green panel, and the volunteers who've been assigned to the green panel will get together. There'll be a board member who's in charge of the volunteer panel, and they'll set up times that are comfortable for their group to go out and tour the facilities, to ask questions. And we really encourage our volunteers to look at the applications that they get. They get a copy of the application, they get the budgets. The only thing they don't get is the in-depth financial analysis that we, but we have those in our office if anybody wants to see them. And then they go out at the appointed time, they'll meet with the agency directors. Sometimes there'll be board members there, sometimes there'll be agency clients there. And we encourage our volunteers to ask any questions they want to ask, because this is when we can really let people know where their money goes, how it's being used, and what kind of programming is going on. Who's being served. Last year, I did bring a cheat sheet.
Okay.
Last year, over 31,544 people were touched by United Way agencies in
Troup County or the surrounding communities.
That includes 4,160 people from Carroll County, because Carroll County does not have a United Way that covers it.
Okay.
So we do our best to cover them.
That area as well.
And Red Cross also has Carroll County in their specific
Service
areas, so they
Okay.
report back to us. But we try to help there if we can.
Okay.
In West Point, almost 1,000 people were helped in West Point last year. That's almost a third of their population.
Right. Yeah.
Hogansville, 1,745 people.
Whoa.
That's huge. 23,400 people were helped in from LaGrange.
23,000.
400.
My.
So we really want our volunteers to see what was going on behind those numbers,
Right.
who was helped and how. And then after the meeting, the group will get together and the board chairman, the board panel chairman will help them in a discussion, and they'll come to a consensus about what they recommend for a funding level for the particular agencies that they saw. Then the board members will all come together on the allocation steering committee, and they have the toughest job.
Yes.
They have to, we look at how much we've raised as of that morning. And by then, Sharon Alford, who's my financial vice president, and I have made phone calls. We've
Shaking
turned
the
over
trees,
every
that's right.
rock and shaken
sure-
every tree to
that's
make sure we can get every dollar in. That's in the first week of March. And we look at how much we've raised and what the requests are. We look at our budget for United Way's operations, and then we make a funding decision. And 78 to 82% of every dollar raised will go to the programs. Some of it funds our operations, about 20% funds our operations, and then 1 penny of every dollar donated to the United Way of West Georgia, or to any United Way, goes to United Way worldwide.
Okay.
And
1
that's
cent on the dollar.
1 penny of every dollar. So we remit that quarterly. But in return for that, we get the use of their logo, all of their
Right.
national advertising, all of the associations with that. Plus, they hold us to standards. We have to submit membership certification standards and requirements every year, so that they know that we're operating at the level that gives us permission to have use of
right,
their
yeah.
logos and everything. So it's really a wonderful check and balance, because without United Way, a lot of nonprofits don't always have somebody saying, well, are you doing this? Are you, when we get their budgets, sometimes there's a line item for a payment to the state
Yep.
tax or something like that. Well, we look at
gets
that every
questioned.
year.
Yep,
we,
it gets questioned.
and we make sure that the agencies, because I take very strongly the fact that we represent a public trust, so that the agencies are conducting themselves legally and in an ethical manner, and they're making sure that they're up to the standards that we require for funding from United Way.
Absolutely. Okay.
So, in addition to that, we do fun things
I
like
know.
early learning.
That's right.
And one of my big and really, really big efforts is, if we're going to raise the education level in this community, which is going to change the
Which
community,
is so important to them.
we've got to focus on children before they get to school, before they get to pre-K.
That's
and
right.
the logo, Be the One, this year for our campaign, be the one to go in and read to a child in preschool. We have a group through our Success by Six program called Weekly Readers. And we asked them to go in, and we started out reading to the pre-K and or 4-year-old programs, depending on the center. And now we've got people going in and reading to babies and toddlers, because the more words that children hear early, the more synapses are connected, the more alert they are, the bigger vocabulary they have, the more developed their brain is. By age 3, 80% of brain development has already occurred in children. By age 5, 95% brain
By
development.
age 5. And that's remarkable, when
And
you think
there's-
about that.
yeah.
And it's so, like you said, it's so important. And that is why everybody can be the one.
Yes, it doesn't take a huge effort. We're not asking.
Just a simple reading.
It
A
is. You
couple
can go in
moments
and
a day.
read, or go in and rock babies, and talk to them. educate other people about how important it is to just to interact with your child. If you're a stay-at-home mom and you're doing laundry and you've got a baby in a bouncer or whatever, talk to them while you're sorting laundry. This is Daddy's blue shirt. There's huge concepts in Daddy's blue shirt. So anyway, real quick, we've got
talk about the goal. Tell us what our goal is for this year, and tell us when the campaign ends and what you would want the community to do.
Okay, our campaign goal for this year is $1 million.
Okay.
2019. Yeah, $1,000,2019. I should have had that written down. And the campaign, we really like for the campaign to be over by. We'd love for it to be over by Thanksgiving, but the end of December is really critical if you're a company and you're doing a campaign, because if you're doing payroll deduction, which is the most efficient and effective way to run a campaign, your payroll department needs to be able to have that in place so that with that first January payroll, you've got payroll deduction set up. Because when someone makes a pledge to the United Way campaign, we expect those pledges not to start until January.
Right.
So what we want the community to do is consider thoughtfully making a contribution to United Way. As I said, 99 cents of every dollar stays in the local community, and it helps our children, our seniors, and our adults. The other thing is to support LaGrange Has Talent, which is our big fundraiser that benefits early learning. And right now, during the month of October, if you go online to LaGrangeHasTalent.com, you can see all the wonderful videos. There are 20 local videos who've been submitted. There's some dancers, there's a hip-hop dancer, there's a magician, there's young singers, there's local talent galore, and you can vote for any one of or all of those local talent. The top 10 money raisers or fundraisers with the videos go on to a live talent show on November 15th at 7 o'clock at Troup Center for Performing Arts, and the winner of that live talent show receives $2,000, and the person or act with the highest votes fundraising wise gets $500.
Okay.
But that is determined by a panel of professional judges from out of town, so nobody knows the contestants. But if you would thoughtfully consider supporting United Way with a contribution, and then supporting our local talent. This is the fun. I mean, it truly is a fun fundraiser.
Absolutely.
It definitely is.
Well, Patty, you do such an outstanding job, and our time, we could just talk for hours.
I didn't even mention the Jungle Bus.
You didn't even mention the jungle. That will be our topic for next time.
Okay.
I promise you that. But Pat, I want to thank you very much for coming on the show today and talking about our goal and talking about how we all can get involved with United Way and supporting the 23 agencies, plus, again, supporting the 23,000 individual persons that benefited from the funding last year.
Right.
So, Patty, thank you for all you do for United Way.
Oh, thank you, Alton. You're a wonderful volunteer
Well,
on our
you,
Be the One video.
Thank you so much, Patty.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for joining for City Week this week.